This vlog is going to be about different things you can do to make your Disney World vacation a little easier if you have a child with special needs. My daughter has some special needs, which I'm not going to really go too into detail. It doesn't really affect our visits anymore as she's gotten older and has been able to manage a little bit better. But when she was little, I would have loved to have had something like this, and there really aren't a lot of videos about how to help a special needs child in the park. At least not what I've seen. I saw a lot about, places to go get foods to eat and stuff like that, so I'm not going to do any of those, but what to do if your child has special needs to make it easier for them in the park, I haven't seen. One thing you're going to want to do if your child has special needs, even if they've long since outgrown their stroller, I would consider renting one of the bigger strollers that are designed for special needs children just for your visit in the park. I really wish for our first trip when my daughter was 7 that I had done that. She still really could have used that isolation away from other people. I know right now that I have lower crowd capacities because of the coronavirus regulations, but when we went they didn't, and sometimes when it get really crowded she would get overwhelmed and we'd get meltdowns. So it would have been nice to have had a stroller for her to be able to have a place to isolate herself. Another thing you're going to want to plan on is to bring your own little snacks into the park in case, especially if you have a child that has food aversions, because, you go out to eat and you're all getting something to eat, they might not like the options that they have, or they might not want to eat that at that time. So I found it was really just the easiest thing to do is to bring a little bento box of food items that don't have to be refrigerated, because I think now they don't allow you to bring ice into the park. So the easiest thing, I would just bring like crackers and little bite sizes of like Chex Mix and cereals and carrots and ranch, stuff like that. Stuff that I knew that she liked, so that if she didn't see something in the restaurant that she liked, she could have that. And most cast members were pretty okay with you doing that, especially if you told them that your child has special needs. They were fine with them having something else. Another tip is to don't plan on staying in the parks from open to close. It's too difficult when you have a child with special needs. As the hours go on, the hours progress in the day, the harder it gets. The best hours to go to Disney, I know right now the hours are a little restricted, but normally the best hours to go to Disney are early in the morning up until about 1 o'clock, when they start getting crowded. And then in the evenings from about 7, 8 o'clock until closing, whenever that is. And if there's they have the magical hours if you stay at the resorts. I would definitely utilize those, because the only people that can be in the parks at that time are the people that are staying at the resort. So the crowd numbers are much lower. And how long you're going to stay at the park at one particular time is up to you. The longest that worked for me when my daughter was younger I'd have to say it was about 6 hours was our max that we could stay at the park at one time. So we would go early in the morning, 8 o'clock when it opened, to about 1, and then we'd go back and take a break and rest and relax, and we'd go for later in the evening for another hour or 2. Sometimes it would have to be less than that. I mean, you kind of know your child. If they start reaching that point where they're going to be done, you can just leave and go have some pool time at the resort instead. Another suggestion is when you're in the parks, take a lot of breaks. Like after each ride, I don't do it anymore, but when my daughter was little, after each ride, we would take a 10-15 minute breather from being in the crowds and everything. We'd find a place that was slightly isolated and sit down and have our water or a snack, or just sit and people watch. It helped her to, regroup herself before we went into line in the next ride. Because even if we did the DAS pass, which you can do if you have a child that is special needs, and it helps you skip ahead of the line. Even if we did that, there was still a line, and she still had to wait, and there were still people around. It was still difficult for her at a younger age. So I highly recommend taking 10 to 15 minutes in between each ride before you go into line for another ride. It just helps with the transition. Another thing I highly recommend to do is to bring your child's pillow from home and their blanket from home. My daughter sleeps much better to this day if she has her own pillow and blanket to sleep with at the resort. It makes her stay much better if she's able to relax in her own stuff, and she sleeps better. So I highly recommend bringing your own pillow and blanket, your child's own pillow and blanket. Just pack it in. It's worth it. I get the vacuum seal bags and I pack it in there on the bottom, and it's been great. It's been a great relief every time we go to the park. She has her pillow and her blanket, and she sleeps just like she does at home. The last thing you're going to want to take in consideration is the amount of light and the amount of noise that are in the parks. So you might want, even if your child doesn't usually wear them, you might want to pack some sunglasses and some noise canceling headphones. I found that my daughter wanted to wear the noise canceling headphones even when we were in line. A lot of the attractions have stuff in the queue that's going off, and it's loud, and the people can be loud. And sometimes we were in the line, a parade would go by, and people would be in line, and that would be loud. So it was just easier for her to have her noise canceling headphones on, and that helped her to manage her meltdowns. And the sunglasses too, it's Florida, so it's bright and sunny. And on top of that, sometimes the rides have bright lights, and my daughter didn't like that, so she would wear the sunglasses in some of the rides, and it helped with that. Alright, that's it for today's vlog.